Hello, everyone. How's it going? It's me, that guy, doing that thing. All right. So, welcome, one and all, to Subscriber Appreciation. No, wait, that's a different stream I do. This is Step Back Tonight. It is a weekly stream I do on a Tuesday night where I hang out with y'all. And tonight is a very, very special night because we are reverting back to 15-year-old Tristan. 15-year-old Tristan's going to be coming out tonight. Unfortunately, they no longer make Balls energy drinks, so I couldn't do that. But can do a couple things, which is that we are going into my high school, the high school romance of classical, original, uncut World of Warcraft. So that's going to be the game of the night. But it's not typically a thing. I don't typically always play games, and I'll definitely be hanging out with y'all because this game is, as many can remember, not the most busy of games to play. So it'll be fun. And I also, unlike 15-year-old me, well, this is more of a 16-year-old me thing to do. I've also grabbed some suds to get through. Good stuff. Okay. Couple things, though, before we get started. I want to mention that I have since the last, since the last Tuesday, I have published a new video. It is a brief history of Shinto, the religion that's really big in Japan. So if you haven't seen it yet, you probably should. I think it's a pretty good one. And it's got what I think might be one of the first Step Back memes, which is fun. And what else should I go with? Oh, yes. And I'm not exactly sure if it's finished by now. It might be. It might not be. Let me just check real quick. No, Philosophy Tube's still going. So Philosophy Tube has been doing a Shakespeare stream where he and a cast of people have been reading through every single Shakespeare play. And I just wanted to mention that I got to be in one of them. I actually got to be one of the main characters in A Midsummer Night's Dream. That was really fun. And I also got to be on the night crew, which was pretty good. So I got to do some Shakespeare this weekend. That was great. As always, my wonderful, well, not always, but as in most situations, my wonderful partner Kelly is on the other computer collecting the questions while watching my stream for some reason. All right. So I've got some questions. I'll get to those when we get the character up and running. So World of Warcraft. Let's do a little bit of a history, shall we? This is a game that came out in November of 2004. I remember very well because I bought it only a few days after it came out. Truly one of the most millennial video games ever. Came out while a lot of millennials were in high school or were in their teenage years. And they're getting that now that we're all old. Our nostalgia is being catered to, and so they made this. So I'm going to make a brand new character on a server just for streaming, and I'm going to give you guys a nice little thing. And by thing, I mean I'm going to give you guys a straw poll so you guys will be able to choose certain things. So I've got my first poll here. It's going to go into the chat. So this is, we'll get into the World of Warcraft stuff in a second. I just want to click this through. Okay. So, let me get the game going. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is the game, and the straw poll's going around. I'll have that up in here. Okay, so this is World of Warcraft. This is the character creation screen. There are 8 races. The character that I'm playing off screen is a gnome, so I took gnomes off the poll. But yeah, typical fantasy fare. You got your human. Humans do human-y stuff. You got your dwarves with their axes and their gimliness and such. Your night elves, for all of you people who like long ears and nature-y shit. You got your orcs, who do orky things. Your undead, who are like for your emo goth people, which, you know, us millennials, when we were in high school, we were definitely going through the emo phase, and so we definitely needed to have the edgelord undead. Tauren, who are like Native American Minotaur people, are kind of cool. And trolls, who have a rather problematic accent, but besides that are wonderful. Oh. The beer of the night is Shock Top, by the way, for anyone who's interested. Okay, we're getting polls in. It looks like out of all the votes, that Night Elf is the one that's winning out. Alright, so we're going to do a Night Elf, I guess. Okay. Now I got to make another straw poll real quick. Because now we choose the class. What kind of fantasy are we going to fulfill? Now, my character is a rogue, so we're not going to do a rogue. So let's do warrior, hunter, priest, druid. Okay, so I'm going to send out another... Okay, now, second straw poll of the night. We're going to do this one. And I'll just delete this one because that one's done. All right, so vote. Yeah. All right, so let's see what people vote as far as the straw poll goes. And also in the chat, if you mind, if you guys want to decide whether this is going to be a lady elf or a man elf, please let me know what you think, what you want. What you really, really want. This is what the man elf looks like. And this is what the lady elf looks like. And once I get actually rolling, then I'll start answering the questions. So don't worry, all the questions are being collected. I'll just take a look at them. Name the character Cap Destroy for 2069. Unfortunately, it's like you can't actually put names or numbers in the names, and like they put a lot of weird limitations on it. A non-binary elf. Okay. They don't have that option, unfortunately. It's a 2004 video game. In a perfect world, this would be a slider, but, you know. Oh, gosh. Any thoughts, Kelly?
Your face is covered by a subscribe button.
By a subscribe button?
You know the watermark?
Oh. Oh, is my...
It's right over your face.
Okay, let me just make that a little bigger. Or heck, why don't we just put it down in this corner? Because then all I'm covering up is the chat window. All right. There we go. All fixed. So. All right, if no one's going to give me a non-joke answer. Kelly, do you want a man elf or a lady elf? All right. All right, lady elf it is. And the straw poll says we're doing a druid. Okay. We're doing a druid. So we're going to be a lady and a furry. That's what we've decided. That's what we're doing. Druids are cool. They turn into animals, which is cool. Just trying to get all my things set up here so that I can get everything that I want to take care, or everything that I want to be able to see taken care of. Okay, so we're doing a druid. Got the questions there. And all right. Let's see if we can. All right. Bernie 2020. They won't let you do that, I don't think. So let me just let's do some get some skin color going. They don't have, this ranges everything from blue to kind of aquamarine to like magenta. So that's kind of a cool look. All right, give her a face. Whatever. You're not going to be looking at the face very much. What's that red and white black flag behind you? It's an anarchist flag. Got it a long time ago. All right, let's do some hair. Hair. All right. That's kind of, I like that. Kind of a short haircut. Kind of ponytail look. Braids. That's kind of a combined long hair with ponytail thing. Braids. There. That looks very elfy to me. And she gets face paint. So let's get her nice little. Ooh, that's very goth. Okay, we'll go with that. That looks like she's a member of Kiss right there. Okay. We've got our elf and the druid. So nature-y. Named Bernie 2020. Name can only contain letters. Alright, then let's just go with Bernie. Name is unavailable. Bernie Sander. Alright, it can only be Bernie Sanders. So this is like, if you're the Bernie Sander, like a sand belter or something. Let's see if that one works. Alright, doesn't work. So how about Bernie Sandor? Bernie Sandor. Let's see. Yeah, alright. So the character's name is Bernie Sandor. She's an elf, night elf druid. And yeah, let's log into the little, there's the little audio thing where it tells you their backstory, and then we'll get to some questions once we start getting the quest to like kill 10, I don't know, tree creatures. Okay, let's do this.
For 10,000 years, the immortal Night Elves cultivated a druidic society within the Shadow Vale Forest. Yet recently, the catastrophic invasion of the Burning Legion shattered the tranquility of their ancient civilization. Led by the Arch-Druid Malfurion Stormrage and the Priestess Tyrande Whisperwind, the mighty Night Elves rose to challenge the demonic onslaught. Though victorious, the Night Elves were forced to sacrifice their cherished immortality and watch their beloved forests burn. Seeking to regain their immortality, a number of wayward druids conspired to plant a special tree that would link
really
their
takes me back
spirits to the eternal world. Despite Malfurion's warnings that nature would never bless such a selfish act, the druids planted the great tree Teldrassil off the stormy coasts of northern Kalimdor. Within the twilight boughs of the colossal tree, the wondrous city of Darnassus took root. However, the great tree was not consecrated with nature's blessing, and soon fell prey to the corruption of the Burning Legion. Now the wildlife, and even the limbs of the great tree itself, are tainted by a growing darkness.
You can already see there's like a bazillion characters because game just came out.
In the world, it is your sworn duty to defend Darnassus and the wild children of nature against the Legion's encroaching corruption.
Oh boy. All right. Okay, so there's like a little tutorial thing to do an effective way to level up. This is tell me when, which you don't have to configure until later because that's much simpler. So yeah, welcome to Elf. This person stole my look. Okay, there's like 16 looks, so that doesn't really. Oh my gosh! Look, every single female elf has the exact same hair color. Everyone chose this like frosty, bluey white color. Oh, I'm so original. Okay. Let's just get everything up. Okay, so what's the first? Okay, so this is based on Varric Dwarf Hunters, does not include dungeon activities. Especially grind extra mobs along your way. Let's get started. Okay, so first things first. Cubans in Miami often have shrines to Catholic saints, and similar to the Japanese with Shinto, what sociological factors lead two different cultures to develop similar traditions? I mean, this shows up that shows up a lot in Catholic society about like having shrines to things. It's pretty common across all of the different cultures.
Good luck.
Is there a common, like, what the common thread is between them? That people tend to make hallowed spaces for people to live in, or for people to commune with, like, the spirit world, or whatever you want to call it. I imagine that if there was somebody who was more of a, you know, actually cogent, what's it called? Person who studied culture, anthropologist. If there was a more like logical anthropologist around, then I think that they would. Is that loud? I imagine that's loud. Let me turn that down a tad. Yeah. So like, if I was an anthropologist, I would probably have a more cogent answer. But I imagine that we come around to the same types of. We come around to the same types of spirituality. There are some theories that like religions all sort of advance the same way, that like they move from like what they called like animism to more like formal religion, to eventually getting to like a point where everything is very whatchamacallit, where everything is monotheistic, all the gods mesh into each other and become one singular religious dogma. And like, that's a theory. I'm not exactly sure if it's super convincing, in my opinion, but especially because I think Shinto sort of shows that wrong, because it hasn't merged in any big meaningful way. And if you look at like Hinduism's also not in some very meaningful way like merged into a single deity. So it's very centric on what's it called, like monotheistic. By the way, if anyone wants to join me, the character's name is Bernie Sandor. I'm on the old Blanchy server playing a night elf, so anyone wants to get in on that, please do. So that was that's. It is interesting though that like even the most quote unquote developed religion with like Catholicism and stuff like that there's still a lot of signs of like ancient like ways that people talk and ways that people run themselves. That's very like based on ancient traditions. Like it's still like, out of all of the Christian sects, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that the Catholics are probably the least monotheistic, where like saints have a lot of supernatural powers and intervene a lot in the day-to-day goings of the world. So that's something. British Airways are striking at the moment. Should we support striking workers even if they are fairly well paid? Yes, because when striking workers are listened to, and striking is considered something that is safe and lets you get what you want. Everybody wins. Even if they do have decent benefits, it's still not, in my mind, there's still no downside. You guys are all on the same side, which is you're all the workers. And really, that kind of thinking with like, oh, well, like this person's well off. Like this person has good benefits, therefore why should I help them out? Is a very like Thatcher era way of trying to break out the power of labor and reduce class solidarity. So that's my take on that. Not enough mana. Oh, geez. Okay, I forgot about mana. Cubans worship Saint Lazarus. Yeah, but also, like, I keep thinking about, like, how there's, like, a kind of Catholic cult of Santa Muerte in Mexico. That's a really big deal, especially with, like, the cartels. And things like that are interesting. God damn. So one of the things they changed since the game originally came out is something called tagging, which is that in the game now, like if you were to play the modern version of this game, you would have like if you were going to kill a monster, like say this guy here is attacking this boar. If I were to help out, I could get quest credit. But now, as you can see, it's like grade. The name's grade here. Now, if you do that, you're going to lose because now once you've tagged a creature, which is like when you've done damage to it, you're the one who's going to get credit. And unless you're in a party with somebody, there's not going to be... You guys are competing. And so everybody here is like fighting over the exact same things because the game just came out, and I think this server is also pretty new. So everybody's low level and trying to do the opening quests here. Looks like we've got some items that we can put on in a second. Let me just finish this quest and then we'll do that. What's the next question? Why do people equate comedy to truth? Libertarians believe in South Park, anarchists in George Carlin, and Ukrainians even elect a comedian president. I've actually been thinking about that a little bit lately, because like the so there's a little so there's a couple ways you can look at it, which is one that journalists are not journalists at the moment are doing something that's called access journalism, which is that, okay, if you're a journalist and you want to have fancy people able to give you like tips and work with you, you have to be willing to do things. Like if you want to interview the president, you basically can't publish anything critical of the president. If you're a news organization like CNN and you want to have a presence at the White House press gallery, then you have to be very subservient. So, like, that's one thing. The other thing is that, and like comedians don't have to do that because so comedians can be a little bit more transgressive than your typical journalist, which means that they can say things and talk about things in ways that people don't. And also, I do think that in some ways, the way that comedy works is that comedy sort of goes around your cognitive mind and is very engaging. And so you're learning about something while not necessarily like entertained. Like, well, you're entertained and you're not necessarily processing something in like a intellectual, philosophical way. And that I think also results in you feeling a more earnest emotional connection with an issue compared to like political theory, like I don't know, like Noam Chomsky, for example, who's not exactly the most charismatic guy in the world, but he talks about important stuff, you know, and so. But people don't emotionally gravitate to him because he's very monotone. He's a very deep voice, and his content's good. It's just not very engaging. And I think that we, in our society, prioritize being entertaining and engaging a lot more than we prioritize like being cogent or sound or intellectually honest or anything like that. We care more about whether we're engaged, whether we laugh, whether we emotionally appeal to certain arguments. And so that would be the kind of thing that I would argue is why people are so
What brings
anti or why people kind of gravitate towards comics who talk about politics more than actual like politicians.
go in peace?
Let's see. Mark of the Wild. Sweet.
Like the stars.
So that's a trainer. You have to go there for spells. And so I just got a spell. Okay. So. Be the first tell me when to put on now, too. Which is like a thing here. Yeah. Oh, buff. So that's what I would go with that. Okay. Whatever. This is not something I should do while I'm here. Yeah, this is dumb. Okay. This is not something I should do on a stream. Okay. So that's that question. How are we doing? Okay, cool. Cool. All right. What's the next question? What could be the cause of the sudden rise of new Soviet wave music? Some say Russian cultural infiltration. I think it's a mix of vaporwave and Soviet nostalgia. I don't exactly know about Soviet vaporwave. I know that there's like an increasing desire to have like less and less ironic like acknowledgement of like Soviet nostalgia. I'm not sure how ironic it is anymore, but like the idea is, okay, where am I supposed to go for this? Remember, it's like over here somewhere. So there's that, and I think that it's like the natural progression of like weird leftists like us on the internet talking about or making equally weird music, like vaporwave. So that's all I can guess. I don't know. I don't know too much about this new Soviet wave music, so I might have to default to someone's better understanding of the subject. So we just went from a quest where we kill boars and tigers to killing bigger boars and bigger tigers, because that's the World of Warcraft, yo. That's the grind. You go from one... There's like 6 types of quests, and you just do them a whole bunch of times. But I guarantee that in aggregate, it's very entertaining. Who is the best Knight of the Round Table that you like? Well, I don't really know too many Knights of the Round Table, but I will say that I am named after one, and I mean, I would be kind of a traitor if I didn't choose Sir Tristan, right? Because that's literally who I'm named after, so I gotta go with that one. Plus, I think there was like a King Arthur movie where Sir Tristan had like a falcon or something, which is kind of cool. Are you worried Trump will lie about the census results to give the Republicans more safe districts? Legal podcast I like suggested that there might be no legal recourse if he does this. Yes, I mentioned this a long time ago that 2020 is an extremely important election because if we fuck up if the census gets fucked up in America, then like the last time that the census was drawn, it was right after the election with the 2010 election, which was the Tea Party wave election. And if you remember, that created a lot more safe seats for Republicans. And I do think that Republicans basically use suppressing the vote because like they're now a flat out white identitarian party, and if they don't like suppressing the vote is how they stay in power, and so they're gonna do every dirty trick they possibly can to keep that. And so yes, extremely worrisome. Let's see. Yeah, we're on Old Blanchy. Character's name is Bernie Sandor. So anyone who wants to join in with the party, well, the little party. I got a new meme on Twitter. Let's take a looky-loo, shall we? When Tristan plays WoW instead of Minecraft, the greatest game ever made by humanity. Anger. Oh boy. Sorry, Zoomer. Either Minecraft. This is millennial nostalgia night, not Zoomer nostalgia night. Let's see, where was I? Do you think that Republicans would let Puerto Rico be a state if we made a strong Republican lean upstate New York into the Union too, kind of like a modern Missouri compromise? I don't think so. The thing about America is that it's so hard to make big changes like that, that I would think that Republicans, knowing that they are currently winning under this system, would not want to majorly change things like that. And so, in my mind, it's fairly unlikely that you're going to end up with Republican support for any of those things, because they know that, or at least they can guess that it's going to help Democrats. Even if you tried some sort of Missouri compromise like that, they would probably say there's no point. And I would think that unless there was like a strong movement within New York to split what it sounds like essentially New York City away from New York, which would be a weird way to split things. I guess it'd be like North Dakota and South Dakota, North New York and South New York, but even so, I think that Republicans would probably not be on board because why would they? They have nothing to gain. Democrats have things to gain, but not Republicans. Let's see. What's the next question? You know, stuff like the Federation or Ian Banks' The Culture. Should someone write a story about a socialist world that doesn't only work because of imaginary future technology? Sure. I would love to see a story about creating a socialist future without needing any like fancy technology. There's not Kuleshov. There's some Soviet Like, there's some Soviet science fiction author that I've heard of who wrote a book basically about a colony on Mars, a communist colony on Mars, that basically has a little bit of that and goes into very much a lot of detail about how the society functions. And it was sort of the thing about it is that it was a science fiction novel, and interesting. Soviet science fiction in general is very interesting because very often science fiction authors are very visionary people. But the Soviet Union had so many censors that they do things like they have to like bury their criticisms deep in the of society, deep in the literature. But this guy was writing during like Stalin's era, before the purges, and also during the like Lenin era, and so he managed to not have to do that. Let me see if I can find the name of the book. Okay. Let's see. No, that's not him. Once I'm trying to find the name of that book so I can, or that science fiction author wrote about Mars. Oh yeah, here, Alexander Bogdanov. It's a 1909 novel called Red Star. So I'll get a link to it and put it in the chat. So this is the book that's the book I was talking about. But yeah, I would love that. Are non-binary trans people more privileged than trans people who totally identify as different gender than one assigned at birth? Non-binary people can still present as cis in everyday life. You'd have to ask them. I don't think that making those kinds of comparisons is a useful use of our time, but you'd have to ask. That's not a question. That's not really a discussion I can wade into myself.
How may I help?
Okay, accept request. Turn in the balance of nature. Okay. Yeah, I already answered. Was that black and red flag behind you? In 1988, Turtle Dove wrote a book where colonists find ape men rather than Amerindians. Is it offensive to imply you can remove Native Americans from history and have it progress the same? Yeah, quite a bit. But yeah, it got disconnected. I'm not exactly sure. Let me just check. This is fun. Alright. Sorry with that. Not sure what caused that, but yeah, my internet connection is very slow right now. Not exactly sure what's behind that, but I think maybe I've gotten it taken care of. Let's see. See if it goes smoothly from here on out. Sorry about that. Where did I drop off?
Greetings.
Cloak or belt.
Good luck.
Oh no. My inventory is full. I have to go find somebody to sell my stuff to. So, I was answering the question about Harry Turtledove, and I made some blithe comment about how Harry Turtledove's not exactly the most culturally sensitive person in the world anyway. So it's not too much of a surprise to expect him to be culturally insensitive to indigenous people of the Americas. Especially because he writes his fantasy novel about Oh man, if only the Confederates won the Civil War, because we really needed another one of those. I'm really tired of that alternate history scenario. Like, can we please stop fantasizing about the continuation of slavery past the Civil War? Okay. Why do the graphics look so terrible even for 2004? I remember playing PS2 games and they weren't like this. I think that the graphics are actually pretty decent for 2004, but if anything, the reason why the graphics are low is because they have to be fairly efficient. So there's a couple reasons. One, it's Blizzard Entertainment we're talking about here. Let's see if the graphics quality... Oh, okay. Also, I have the graphics quality set down to classic, to like the original. I can just turn them all the way up to like maximum, and that'll make it look a little bit better. But yeah, so when World of Warcraft came out in 2004, based largely on the engine of a 2003 game, Warcraft 3. Then on top of that, it's a game that is designed to be played like on many different machines. The South abolished slavery in that timeline. All right. So this game is designed to be played on a lot of different types of machines of different types of quality for that period. And in 2004, not a lot of people had like beast gaming rigs for their PC. So competing with PS2 at that period would not be a fair thing, because not a lot of people had PS2 quality gaming PCs in 2004. But also, it's a game that needs to be playable with internet connection, streaming this information, and the server loads and everything like that. And so a lot of stuff was kept simpler in order to keep it. And also, the kind of more cartoony graphics that it has also resulted in the graphics aging a lot better than a lot of other games. Is this pre-Deathwing Azeroth? Yes, this is. This is pre... That happened in the... the third expansion, Cataclysm, is when Deathwing, like, destroyed the fucking world. So this is, like... This is Cataclysm, like... this is 2004, so this was, like, 6 years before that stuff went down. So, doing a friend in need. Or a good friend. Find Iveron by the cave to the north. Well, that's this cave. So we gotta find him. He's by the cave, not in the cave. So we gotta go look around for him. I think he might be over here. I'm feeling like an ancient memory in the back of my brain is driving me to go this way. Suppose VR... Yeah, there he is. Suppose VR tech advances to the point where people can have realistic social interactions in a game like this. Will Zeds or other millennials reject that in favor of text communication? I would hope not. I hope that, like, the high amount of text communication hasn't made us completely socially inept. But, I think we've definitely lost a lot of our ability to read social cues based on the fact that we've had, this sort of problem in the past. Or that the technology of our day has not quite gotten to the part where we can handle, like, we don't have the bandwidth to cover face-to-face social interaction in a really meaningful way, so we end up doing a lot of things through text. What do you think of JReg? He makes great content. I've seen a few JReg videos. I don't hate them. They're not like rocking my world, but they're not bad. It's like political compass memes and stuff like that, and big joke about anti-centrism. I don't know. I guess I'm not like on as many levels of nihilistic irony as Zoomers are to think that the very serious political issues of our day are somehow reducible to like that there's like, you know, funny jokes and stuff like that, that there's like these things are kind of serious. And so he makes like jokes about Nazism and stuff like that in weird ways, and I'm like, I don't know. But it's not like, not like that it's like it's bad. It's just that it's very much like, it kind of goes, rubs me in a weird way that I'm not super into. But I'm not going to knock anybody for liking that stuff. Should we prioritize harmony and prosperity for society instead of success, which has greed and hyper competitive overtones? Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think that competition is a terrible thing that results in, maybe it results in a little bit of creativity, but it creates more misery and the thing about trying to about competition is that it's usually ends up being in a situation where there are two strategies that tend to work out, which is one, getting rid of the competition by everyone cooperating and working together, or two, winning the competition by actively trying to thwart your enemies. And so like those two things I think are a serious problem that I don't think are. Laura's, oh man, Ollie's stream got close to $150,000. That's amazing. Huh. I am so happy that he was able to do that. He was able to raise that much money. Yeah, I actually I was in a Midsummer Night's Dream, so I was on the stream for a few hours on Saturday, and that was pretty fun. But like the charity that he was supporting, Samaritans, is so good, and like it was a great weekend. I'm guessing Ollie is getting some well-deserved rest now, so that's nice. No one deserves it more. That's freaking amazing what he's done. And when I found out that like one call for Samaritans costs roughly $5, thinking about how many lives just got saved by raising $150,000, like holy moly, that's awesome. Buying Greenland and nuking hurricanes. Does reporting on that kind of thing distract away from the reporting of Trump that's actually likely to hurt people? No, I think that there's a general interest involved in that. Like, the fact that Trump wanted to attack hurricanes with a nuclear bomb just shows like how Trump is repeatedly proposing just garbage ideas that keep getting replicated by his or keep getting like dismissed by his staff. And that really the only thing that's keeping America from like utter destruction is the fact that his aides basically don't listen to him. God, this is so crowded that like, look, we have like made these spiders extinct in this cave. It's like this mission makes you go to this spider cave, and the spider cave is like literally extinct. We have wiped out all life in the spider cave. Like, this is not very elfy behavior, everybody. My character is supposed to be a druid. I'm supposed to be very upset about these kinds of things. Yeah, Laura, I think like if I remember correctly, they said $250 is about what it costs to train one person on a phone. and every call costs about $5 in employee time and stuff like that. So yeah, you could just imagine how much help that will be. And for a lot of charities, for causes like mental health causes, 150,000 might be higher than like a significant part of their operating budget for the year. So they might have been able to do quite a bit for that. Why does Audible sell audiobooks that argue Amazon shouldn't exist? Well, I'll get to that one when we get down the list. Supposed to follow that list, not the other list. I'm trying to look for spiders. They literally, like, there are so many elves in here that they are, like, killing the spiders faster than I can find any. And I'm supposed to be killing them and stealing their venom sacs so that I can make an antidote for that guy. Oh, here's one. Here's two. Someone else got the other one. Okay. Alright, so thoughts on the new IPCC report. The only IPCC report I had was the one from, like, I want to say it was last year. The one where basically we had 12 years to sort our shit out before the world ended. I don't know. I did not know that the 2019 IPCC report came out, and I don't know what it says, but I imagine it's not good. With like the lungs of the earth literally being on fire right now, I imagine the IPCC does not have nice things to say about how well we've been doing at saving the planet in the last year. For the people who are talking, so I played Classic pretty hardcore because I was a high school student and had infinite free time. So in high school, my main character that I raided with all the way to Nax Remus was a gnome rogue, and I was a combat rogue. Gnome rogue, combat with daggers at the end. For the longest time, though, before Nax Remus, I switched to combat daggers, but before that I played assassination, which I had like some of the best gear. I was like one of the best geared rogues in the server with, like, you know, Ankh-Raj stuff and Cthulhu stuff. And so when I was assassination, which by the way, assassination is like a build that's around like getting the drop on people and like doing tons of damage in a short amount of time. And so with that build, I could theoretically, if I had a good, depending upon who I was fighting, I could take somebody out in one shot. Like I could do a big ambush and just kill them, which was pretty fun. Is the Republican Party just apartheid South Africa at this point? They're not quite at apartheid South Africa yet, but that is the stuff that apartheid South Africa did to hang on to power is the kind of stuff that the Republican Party on the long term will need to resort to in order to maintain grasp on political power when they have built a party identity about excluding people of color and LGBTQ plus people and basically everyone who's not a white, cisgendered, heterosexual, evangelical Christian. And so as they keep excluding more and more people in order to keep minority rule like that, like look at like the 2016 election. In 2016, they got like, what's it called? Something like 3 million fewer votes and yet still somehow won the election. Like, if that's not an example of like how powerful the anti-democratic institutions of the United States, as well as like things like voter suppression and stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of stuff that the Republicans are going to need to do to stay in power. which, you know, is real dirty. Hence why, like, the census, the Republicans controlling the census is so fucking scary. Is it possible the Amazon fires are man-made and orchestrated by the government? What implications will the burning have on human civilization and the biosphere? Okay, so let's see. Are the Amazon fires man-made? The answer is probably. I've been doing research, and most people seem pretty convinced that the Amazon's the fire in the Amazon is probably a result of or most likely a result of a clear cutting and fires made for burning down the Amazon that have been unregulated in order to build more farmland. That's like now burning out of control. What effect could that have on human civilization and the biosphere? That is a very good question. I've asked some of my climate change friends about the situation, and from what I can get from them, it's real bad. Like, we're talking about, like, if this shit doesn't get contained soon, you're gonna pass a tipping point where the CO2 that's gonna be like entering the thing will cause a positive feedback loop that could cause climate change to go completely out of control in a way where we're probably not going to be able to handle things. Like, we're going to be... Like, the idea of even attempting to not cause irreparable permanent damage to the planet is pretty much gone at that point. So, yeah, this is the hugest of fucking deals. And yet, we don't seem to be going full bore trying to solve it. I mean, we are kind of. Like, they did an entire meeting of the G7 to deal with it, and Bolsonaro is like literally refusing to stop burning the Amazon if fucking what's his name, Emmanuel Macron, doesn't like apologize for being mean to him for, I don't know, calling him a fascist dictator because he is one. So the Amazon thing is really terrifying, and it's something that I don't understand why people aren't talking about it all the time. Like, it is as bad as like if a meteor had hit the Earth type thing. Do you think Macron will try to invade Brazil in order to do it? No, I don't think any world leader has like the cojones to go to war with one of the largest, most militarily powerful countries on Earth in order to save the Amazon. It's just the world. All the rich people are making plans to go to Mars and leave us all behind. So like, who fucking cares? Like, Macron, like, there's probably not many world leaders, and Macron is definitely not an exception to this, who literally do not give a single shit about anybody who does not have a net worth of at least, like, $10 million. Like, not even a tiny care. Like, Trudeau has literally not done a single thing for someone who wasn't worth $10 million. It is the only thing, the only constituency he cares about, because he is a party for the bourgeoisie, and the bourgeoisie are the people who support him, and so he knows, like, the function of the state is to keep the rich powerful and keep them protected from the rest of civilization. So Of course they're not going to do anything like that. That's just saving the world. That's not important. That's not as important as, like, you know, cracking down on people's right to unionize, like Macron has put a lot of energy into. Is there anything that Trump has done that you like? And what would Trump have to do in order to get you for you to suggest voting for him? Oh boy, Trump would have to basically. Okay, so anything good that Trump has done, he has invigorated left-wing politics by electing a fascist dictator to the United States. He has invigorated a far left movement in America that I thought was not possible to see, at least in my lifetime. So that, I think, is probably one thing that Donald Trump has done that I like. As far as let's see, as far as anything else goes, what would Trump need to do for me to actually suggest voting for him? He would need to be visited by 3 ghosts and say in a public address that I was 100% wrong about basically everything that I've ever done in my life, that I am going to make my last year in office. I suggest they vote for somebody else. Suggest they vote for Bernie Sanders, and spend the last year of his life last year of his presidency just trying to do anything to make amends for the horrible shit that he's done. And that would be like an apology tour. That would be massive legislation, working with Democrats to empower labor, to take down the concentration camps, to destroy the wall. Like, it would be like, he would have to be literally the opposite of who he is, which, like, will never fucking happen.
Good luck, friend.
Yeah. Who's worse, Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro? I don't... Okay, come on. Come on. We've got a visitor coming. Let's make sure you guys get a good sight. All right, let's do a little thing so you guys can all say hi. Look, it's Phoebster. She's here. Hey, Phoebe. Yeah. Everybody loves Phoebe. She's the real star of the show. How's it going, girl? All right, you're just going to get yourself comfortable? Okay. All right, back to this. Okay. Antidote and woodland protector. Okay. Okay, so the question was Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro. So, if I recall correctly, Charlie Kirk is the TPUSA guy, right? He's the guy who dressed in a diaper to own the libs. Like, he did like some public display where he dressed himself up in a diaper. Ben Shapiro is the podcaster that says facts don't care about your feelings and sucks. I don't know if you guys are hearing this, but Phoebes is very interested in the microphone because it's in the way of where she usually likes to lie down, which is right here on the table. So if I move my stuff, maybe she could go and lie down on her other spot. Come on. All right, girl. There you go. Why don't you go over there? Let me do some work so I can... Let me do my work so that you can get your food. Okay. As for who's worse, Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro, I would probably say Ben Shapiro, because Ben Shapiro, I think, has more reach and is more relevant right now. I don't think anyone really takes Charlie Kirk all that seriously. Anytime I've heard about everything I've heard anyway about Charlie Kirk and TPUSA is people making fun of it, so that's my guess. Did you watch the Pro Jared video? It's the guy who cheated on his elf wife, isn't it? He's the man who did a cheat on the elf wife. That's all I know about Pro Jared. I know that he used to be on a D&D podcast called Dice Camera Action, and then he cheated on the elf wife, and now he know on the show, and now nobody. I thought that he was pretty much done, but I guess he still has a goddamn YouTube channel, and he's still making videos, and people are still following him. That sucks. You probably shouldn't be able to just, like, pick yourself up that fast after, like, cheating on your spouse for a very long period of time and then gaslighting the shit out of her. That's just my opinion. Oh yeah, now we're doing this quest where we have to sit here and wait for these things. Woodland Protector. Oh, yep. This is bad. It's not only these things just have an awful sound, but they're like, there's a lot of competition for very few spawns. I had something like this happen earlier today with Gnomeragon stuff, the leper gnomes. Okay, so remember when I said I was listening to post-capitalism? Why does Audible sell audiobooks that argue Amazon shouldn't exist? Let's think about that. In my mind, I mean, Amazon doesn't particularly care what you say. I don't think that they even vet. Like, my guess is that with they don't vet books to see if they're nice enough to Amazon in order to publish. They probably have deals with major publishers, and they'll just publish anything they put out. Also, I imagine that they're probably long-term thinking enough to know that if they were to not publish a book because it was critical of their business model, that would probably get them some negative media attention, and so they probably wouldn't do that either. But also, like, I mean, even if it does criticize Amazon, it still increases their quarterly profits, and they know that one book isn't gonna change anything, so they don't bother. They don't worry about it. What do you think of H Bomber Guy? I think he's great. Harry's a friend of mine. We've met now twice. IRL. He came to, or he did a guest part in one of my videos. I know that nobody knows that because it was on a video that featured women, so nobody watched it. But yeah, if you go to my video about the Girl Guides and World War II, there's an H Bomber Guy cameo in it, and so yeah, him and I are tight. Tight is a bit of an exaggeration, but him and I are friends, I would say. As much as two people who live like half the world apart and don't get to talk very much can be friends. But you know, it is what it is. Suppose humanoid went all communist in the 1960s. In the 2000s, would the rise of the internet still have led to social isolation amongst the young, or would socialism have prevented that? If it was like Soviet-style socialism, who fucking knows? I get a feeling that, like, since the Soviets didn't invest all that much in computer technology, that computers probably wouldn't be as powerful as they are today if it was up to the if the Soviets were in charge, if the Soviets won the Cold War, computers would not be where they are today because America went full in on computer technology, and the Soviets tried for a little bit, but were always lagging behind the Americans, and eventually they got themselves to the point where they decided that they were just going to start stealing American computers and use those. So let's see. But to the spirit of the question, would the internet developing during socialism lead to like if it wasn't for capitalism, would we still be as socially isolated as we are today? Maybe not. I do think that part of the social isolation isn't the technology itself as much as it is the just deep feeling of loneliness and isolation that comes with capitalism. Like, compared to even a few decades ago, people today work more and are paid less than they have been in like a long time. And so I imagine that if the internet came out under socialism, we'd have a lot more free time. And so my guess is that that would translate to more social time because we could actually dedicate time to investing in our friends and families, and we wouldn't be so isolated. That's my guess. I can't even tell how far behind the chat is. But the stream seems to be the stream seems to be all right. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, H Bomber guy in the Girl Guide video plays an MI5 agent. Because I needed British people, so I got 2 British people I knew to play voices for it. Okay, where were we? Let's see. Uh-oh. Where are... Okay. Just imagine what it's like when we have trees. We're not going to have those for too long, so just imagine. Here's 3D trees. So you can remember a time that we will never see again, when the world was alive and the Amazon wasn't on fire. We're all gonna die. Okay. Suppose we did get one of the major world governments on our side. Would you be in favor of that government using military action to force Brazil to preserve the Amazon? I don't think it would come to that, but yeah, if it did come to that, I would, because the Amazon is literally the lungs of the planet, and if part of the world is going to try and destroy the whole planet, then yeah, we probably should get involved. I think there are other ways to get Brazil to do what we want, but or to get Brazil to do what we want makes it sound like it's some sort of like diplomatic pressure thing. To get Brazil to not like destroy the planet, literally, which like that's not been a thing we've had to do in a long time. So that's something. Okay. Okay. What are some examples of why Vox News is not a pro-leftist ideas? Well, there's the Weeds podcast, which is a podcast entirely dedicated to attacking Bernie Sanders' healthcare plan, and at least during the 2016 election was basically an arm of the Hillary Clinton campaign. You've got the fact that it is run by Ezra Klein, the wealthy child of 2 Berkeley professors, who constantly talks about, who like attacked Francis Fukuyama on his podcast From the Right when talking about inequality. You've got... Let's see, what else was there? You've also got Matt Iglesias, the probably the most self-described expert on anything. He's gone through several phases of his life where where Matt Iglesias has tried to rebrand himself as a wonk on different topics or another. But in the end, he always supports the exact same shit, which is like center-right neoliberal bullshit. And so, like, of course, with all of these people at the helm, Vox is going to end up being this, like, center-right newspaper or center-right organization that caters to the wealthy. Or caters to, like, the, you know, the white millennial professional class internet person, and isn't particularly concerned with you know, dealing with the problems of the world or anything like that, because you can't fix healthcare because healthcare is complicated. Therefore, you just end the discussion. Yeah. Should refusing to take care of the environment within your own borders, especially if you're a large country, be regarded as an act of violence against the rest of the world? Yes, I definitely think so. What is the weirdest thing your cats have done late at night? Any creepy cat/ghost stories? The weirdest thing that a cat has done at night. It's a strange way to phrase it. I mean, my cats don't do very strange things. The worst thing that I've ever had a cat do to me was not one of these cats. It was a cat that is dead now, at my parents' house, who knocked over who basically knocked over a laptop of mine, a MacBook, and broke it, and I had to. And it was like on Christmas. It was on Christmas Day, like Christmas Eve. Knocked a laptop off the table, and I had to go and buy another one, like on Boxing Day sales, because I was in university. And I couldn't not have one, so I had to go buy a new laptop. As far as like spooky late at night stories, there's one which was when Kelly and I were in Quebec to go to the convocation ceremony for some of my friends who were graduating the year after I was. We stayed at this Airbnb, and it was like the middle of the night. We had drank, so we were pretty, like, you know, doped out and sleeping. And then he, like, in the middle of the night, what I assume... Why did you buy a MacBook? I had a MacBook from 2007 to 2011 or 2012. And the reason I did that was because at that time I thought I was going to be a record producer, and all of the people in my school, like all the teachers and stuff like that, who were who were in the music industry, all used Macs, and they all were like, just get a, like, I know, like, if you have opinions about Macs or whatever, who cares? Just don't, like, it doesn't matter. Just get a Mac. It'll make working in the music industry so much easier. So I got a MacBook, and then after I paid like $2,000 for a computer, I wasn't gonna like not use it until it died. I also had a MacBook when I was doing my PhD but it wasn't mine. I didn't buy it. It was like an office computer that my supervisor had rented to me. Oh yeah, so the story about Quebec. So Kelly and I were in this Airbnb late at night, And we get woken up at like... By the way, this Airbnb was like in the country a little bit. So we get woken up in the middle of the night with which sounds like we don't know the neighborhood. We don't know the person really. It's an Airbnb. And we're staying in like a sort of attached addition to the home. And at 3 in the fucking morning, like we hear a woman screaming bloody murder. Like literally it sounds like a woman is being murdered.
Greetings.
And we're just, both of us are like, what the fuck? And we get like so terrified that we're like,
Goddess.
like, do we call the police? Like, what the fuck's going on? Like it's the middle of the night and like the screaming sound is happening. And yeah. So what we concluded though, and it took us a long time to come to this conclusion, probably longer than we should have, to be honest, is that we realized that it was some sort of really fucked up animal sound, and we had no idea what it was, but it sounded like a woman getting fucking murdered. Like, do you guys remember Annihilation?
It was a fox, I think.
It was okay. You just killed the story.
Sorry.
Kelly likes to tell the punchline of the story while
I
I'm.
didn't know it was a joke. Keep going.
So we were telling the story. So we were like going through. We were murdering. Or we thought this was like a murder, and then we were like, okay, it's an animal, and we're like, okay, let's go. We'll go to bed. And it's like, it reminded me of like Annihilation, like that bear monster that like when it killed a woman made her like sounded like she was screaming, like that sounded like that woman who died screaming, "Help me!" And I was like, oh shit, this is terrifying. And yeah, as Kelly said, it was a fox. Found out later that the sound of a woman screaming bloody murder was a fox. So I don't know why foxes make some of the most horrifying sounds known to man, and why anybody would keep an animal that makes such terror. Like, there are some people who keep pet foxes, and I don't know why, because if something in a house made that sound, you would have the police called on you like every other day. But yeah, it was a fox making horrible, horrible noises. Oh, Sanish Hearthstone. But I will say, scared the ever-living shit out of me when it happened. Especially because it was 3 in the morning, and I was drunk. Which I'm supposed to be. I gotta pick up speed here. Somebody asked me, why don't I ever get drunk on stream? And I was like, all right, well, if I'm gonna have a night of millennial nostalgia playing World of Warcraft, then I might as well have a few. Yeah. All right. Suppose Hillary died in 2014. Do you think Warren would have run in 2016? No, I don't think so. I don't think Warren thought that she would have won, or she could have run for president, because this is probably why she didn't support Bernie either, is that she probably was under the idea that America is not ready for a too left-wing president to run. And so my guess is that that's why she didn't. So, and also she doesn't like rocking the boat with her party. We got some more stuff to talk about that. There's a whole article that came out about Elizabeth Warren that makes me much less pleased with her. That we can get into a little bit, but I think that if it wasn't for Bernie running in 2016 and being as successful as he was, there would not be Elizabeth Warren thinking, what if I could Bernie, but be more like friendly to the establishment? I could win in both worlds, and I could walk away with this thing. I think that's like like without seeing the results of how Sanders did in the primaries, I don't think she would have even considered running.
Farewell.
Okay. So, that being said, what's next? Do Crown of the Earth. Which one's Crown of the Earth? Ah, shoot. Fill the crystal file and bring it back to Tanarin's Swarm Grip. Okay, so I gotta go to a thing and fill it with this. Okay, that sounds easy enough. So, the recent article about Elizabeth Warren showed that her new strategy for trying to eke out new supporters is that because is Warren a top vice presidential pick for Bernie when he wins the nomination? I think so. I am more confident now than I have been in a long time that Bernie Sanders is going to win. Just because the narrative is so changed by the results of Iowa and the results of New Hampshire. And Sanders has a pretty firm grasp on New Hampshire, and he's pretty close to edging past Biden for Iowa. And once those two are done, the narrative kind of writes itself after that. So I do think that there's a good chance that that's going to be a thing. But Elizabeth Warren would be a good vice presidential pick. Presidential pick, where she said that she was at a group of like DNC DNC high-end people, not DCCC, and basically said that she doesn't want to rock the boat, that she's here to make common sense reform, but she's not here to make anybody feel threatened, and that she plans as president to work with the Democrats. And all I can think is, like, there was another president in our recent history who was like all cool and progressive and like, I'm gonna change things, but then also was like, but then also had a policy of like, I'm gonna work well with the rest of the party, and then resulted in him becoming president and for 8 years accomplishing no progressive reforms at all. And I worry that Elizabeth Warren being president might end up being another Barack Obama administration, which like would be supremely disappointing, as you can probably guess. But yeah, like the thing is, with the way that the Democratic Party works now, the next president sort of has to be antagonistic with the Democratic Party. Like, no president, like, I know that, like, you know, it's nice when people are nice to each other, but like, this is the world where Nancy Pelosi is the head of the Democratic Party in Congress, and if they take the Senate, it'll probably end up being Chuck Schumer. And if those are the case, if that's the people you have to work with, I don't want my Democratic president to be someone who says they're willing to be friends and work with the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is not on the side of justice in the cases of those people. And I would not want to be compromising with freaking Chuck Schumer. So in my mind, that's like the thing I have against Elizabeth Warren right now. And why I'm really like I still would say that she'd be a better consolation prize than getting like any other candidate who's not Bernie. But also, it also means that not getting Bernie would be a major loss for the world, because we all live in this world and we kind of need to breathe and live and stuff. And there's no stance on climate change that doesn't piss off Nancy Pelosi that doesn't also result in the death of humanity. Let me make sure I'm still in the camera. Yeah, I am. So that's sort of where I'm at the moment.
What brings you here? May the stars.
And I don't exactly know what the solution to that is. I really wish Elizabeth Warren was better on that, because I thought, like, I know that I said in my video about her that I don't think that she's really good at fighting her own party, but I don't know if that's a position that we can take anymore. What group do you think is the most discriminated? I don't think that that's a relevant question to ask. Even if Trump doesn't win in 2020, he could still lie about the census because of him turning it over to Congress before the power turnover. Thoughts? I mean, it's a thing he could say. Is it a thing he could say and then still like use it as like a thing to stay in power? I don't think so. I imagine that it would be political suicide to like refuse to give up power. Might be literal suicide. I don't think that I feel like Americans are willing to take a lot of authoritarian bullshit. A president refusing to resign is like that's not something that would happen in America in 2020, I don't think. Who is worse, Pelosi or Clinton? I want to hear Kelly's answer before I give mine. I'm just curious. What? Who's worse, Pelosi or Clinton?
Oh, Pelosi's for sure worse.
Pelosi?
Then Clinton? Yeah.
Really? See, I would have gone with Clinton because of the imperialism and like the Warhawk stuff. Like Pelosi doesn't have to deal with like foreign policy shit. She doesn't have to worry about like, she isn't responsible for like the murder of Osama bin Laden or like
Fair point.
war on terror stuff. That's just me. I mean, it's cold comfort because I think that we can both agree that both of them are pretty damn bad. I agree with decentralization for the most part, but a concern I have is, what if a commune is destroying nature and not respecting human rights? How would the other communes deal with that? Well, the idea of decentralization that makes things great about that kind of thing is that in a decentralized system, under a decentralized governing model, no individual has all the power. So if somebody was being abusive, if a group was being abusive and destroying the environment and shit like that, then we would the other groups would be powerful enough to be able to deal with their violence against the community. So that's how I would deal with it. Would there just be a UN of communes? I don't know if it would be like that. I mean, it could be that centralized, but it could also be just like, you know, could just be local people getting together to deal with the situation. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to like form a formal institution or anything like that. But definitely being against state doesn't mean you're against like organization as a principle. I think that most people would say that, like, you know, a world, even an anarchist world, would have to have lots of institutions, organizations, and like various different ways of managing and interconnecting and trading and all those kinds of things. Like, I feel like, if anything, an anarchist society would be even more complicated and complex and interconnected than, say, a statist one, because you wouldn't have to use the government as like a one-all organization to manage any and all issues. Which I think would result in actually better policies and better politics. Or if anything, more fluid policies and more fluid politics. But you'd have to be a pretty dumb anarchist to think that you could run a society without any semblance of civilization. You'd probably, at that point, you're basically an anarcho-primitivist. And I don't think the idea that like anarchists would be this kind of like these kind of like agrarian city-state type things is not feasible in the 21st century. And that like what's called a commune could easily be like a floor of an apartment building, if like, or you know, something similar, as small as that. But you know, like that might be more involved for the average person, but you know what? We'd probably be working a lot less, so I don't think it would be a problem. Okay, we need to drop an item here. Just drop this. I feel like things are getting pretty chill. I don't think that was all the questions for now, but I'm sure more will come in a minute. But in the meantime, we can just enjoy the wonders of this magical elfy world. Isn't it pretty? Look at the purple haze. Look at the elf in elf shorts in the elf forest, shooting moonbeams at the various wildlife, which is good for some reason. I can't exactly remember what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I mean, I'm like killing wildlife because a demon told me to, which, you know, as a night elf who is also a druid and a protector of nature, makes complete sense to me. Could Trump just lie with the census results even if he's about to lose power? He'd be outs with the Dems, would be screwed Congress-wise. Thoughts? Could be. I definitely think that sounds too smart for Trump, and that sounds more like something Mitch McConnell would do, and I would definitely not put Mitch McConnell above doing that, so. If you think about it, purple and green, it's like thought slime colors. This is the thought slime forest. killing big tarantula. Beating it with my stick because I don't have any blue juice. There we go. Man, playing a caster was... Playing a caster in original WoW is... it's a lot. That's good shock top. I wish. I was gonna say hashtag not sponsored, but shit, if Shock Top wanted to send me like money or Shock Top to hawk their merchandise, I ain't proud. I read a controversial thread in Our Anarchy about how indigenous person views anarcho-primitivism. For them, it means humans should be part of the land, not separate from it. Yeah. Anarcho-primitivism is a strange collection of beliefs and ideologies. Is Shock Top vegan? Let's take a look. I mean, it's beer, so unless it's using fish bladders as a clarifying agent, it's usually pretty safe to be vegan. And I don't think very many beers use... I don't think very many beers use fish bladder. Use it. Okay, so what it says here is that while Shock Top is not certified vegan, and none of the beers made by the Anheuser-Busch Corporation are, it's also by a look at the ingredients and things like that, there's no reason to believe that it's not vegan either. It's just never been certified vegan. So, you know, take that as you want. Cause like, yeah, almost all the ingredients in beer are vegan. The only beer that I know of that is not vegan is, so like, I know a weird amount about making beer because my dad and I used to make beer. So when you make beer, most ingredients are just like plants. It's barley, it's hops, it's all sorts of stuff. This is a wheat beer, so it's got wheat in it. But the thing that sometimes makes a beer not vegan is something called a clarifying agent, which is like, when you make beer, when it comes out of the tap, like when you first brew beer, if you don't use a clarifying agent, it can be sort of cloudy. And people don't like that. It doesn't look good. It's not appetizing looking. So, fairly often, they'll use a clarifying agent. And traditionally, especially in certain types of beers made in Ireland, that would be they would use something called they would use basically an extract from the bladders of fish. But now, because that's an expensive thing to do, most have transitioned to different types of clarifying agents, including cold filtration, but also even a more regular like beer brewing process might involve like something simple like moss. There's a kind of moss that is good as a clarifying agent. But some beers that are really traditional will use fish bladders. And specifically, the one that you're going to find out in the world on a regular basis that still uses fish bladders is Guinness. So Guinness is not vegan. but most beers are. I mean, most like the shitty lagers you'll find you don't even have hops, and instead of barley, we'll use like rice. That's why if you ever have cheap beer, it has that like kind of like weird cheap beer flavor. That's because it's using rice instead of barley. It also has yeast in it, and yeast is a fungus, so that's also safe. I don't know if there's any like turbo vegans who won't even eat fungus. And even if you did, there wouldn't be any fungus in it anyway because you filtered that out. Okay. Will Trump care about fucking over the Dems if he's about to lose power? That's my main issue with the podcast that made me worry about this. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing to be worried about, for sure. The Republicans have shown that they will do literally any fucking thing they can to screw over the Democrats and win power at all costs because they know they don't have votes on their side. So they have to use any sort of tricks that they can find to get what they want. And that's just, I can't tell if there's, like, a dump truck outside making noise, or if, there's a thunderstorm going on outside. Keep listening for it, but... can't tell. I'm gonna kill this. This seems like a druidy thing to do. I'm gonna kill this kitty because that demon told me to. There we go. Got all the things I need for my demon quest. I've done Zen's bidding. Okay, so as far as I remember, the storyline is that this is like, first of all, if you look at the continent, this is the map. This is all like the trunk of like a big world tree. And so like the Night Elves after Warcraft 3, when they lost their world tree, like F for the world tree, they then made another world tree, but like nature was like, no, you can't do that. And that's why all these animals are cursed. And that's why it's actually okay to destroy the local ecosystem, because it's like an evil ecosystem. Which, like,
Now what?
I guess in a game that that's funny. In a game that like makes you do a whole lot of like, you know, destroying the local fauna and sometimes flora, that this is like, you know, this is a thing you can do, I guess. Hey, look at that, level 6. Did you guys see that Lady Gaga tweeted the letter F? Made me happy. Have I played Mirror's Edge? No, I don't think so. That's like that parkour game, right? I've never played it, but it looks kind of cool. It's very colorful. I don't think though that I don't think I've ever played it, and if I remember correctly, it's a console game, and I don't really have any console games, so I'm not gonna have any of that. Never seen that quest UI before because it's a mod. Normally when I play WoW, or at least when I've been playing Classic here, I've actually been like a little bit more like chill and relaxed, and I'm like reading the quests and all that kind of stuff. And so that's like my tip. That's what I've been doing lately, but that hasn't been... that's not what I'm doing for a stream, obviously. So that's why I had the mod, but I'm not. Turn in Dolinar delivery to Innkeeper Keldamir. Who's Innkeeper Keldamir? I gotta find you. It's probably right here. Hello, Innkeeper
How may I
Keldamir.
help? I am honored.
Dolinar delivery. Woot. Select my reward. Let's take some
Till
water.
next we meet. What brings you here?
Okay.
Good luck.
So turn in Dolinar delivery. Nice. Now go turn in Crown at the Earth at Corithras Moonrage. Okay. Hello, Corithras Moonrage.
I am listening. Go in peace. I am honored. Then not.
Don't accept any quest. Okay. Follow the well. Okay, so. Oh, we're doing this. Okay. So this is a thing that night elves have to do a lot in this game. So in classic WoW, there's no fast way to get between cities. So we do something called the Wetlands Run. And this is a long run through high-level zones to get to better alliance zones where there's better quests and things like that. And this guide's telling me to go that way. So we're going to go on a very long walk across a big chunk of the world. We're going to leave Elfland and we're going to go somewhere else. We're going to the wetlands. So we're going to go walk through the swamp where a bunch of level 20 creatures are going to kill me for probably the next 45 minutes. So if you have a lot of questions... would you recommend a total MMO noob in the year of our Lord 2019 to get into WoW as an after-work casual game? Yeah, I think that if you wanted to play an MMO, that WoW would probably be the best one for that, especially maybe not this version of the game. Like WoW Classic is fun, but it's not as like it's not as much of like a as you were saying like fun, convenient. Like this has a lot of like convenience features removed that are pretty much standard today in most games. But if you played the retail version of the game that's out now, there's like you can log on for like 10-15 minutes and you can definitely have a good time. You know, the way like in the World of Warcraft game that it is right now, the leveling is fun. It's very easy. It's very relaxing. I have never been able to find a game that is like better for just being able to zone out and listen to podcasts or audiobooks or something like that and just enjoy a nice relaxing evening. Other things that are fun though is that when you get to the like highest level in the game, there's lots of dungeons. Those dungeons don't take usually longer than about half an hour. And then there's a competitive mode for those where it's not about a lot of time, but it's actually about speed running the dungeon and being able to like beat it within a certain amount of time to get a better reward. The only thing you won't be able to, there's like lots of things like island things. There's PvP and like all sorts of stuff. Like there is it's one game, but it's also like a shit ton of other games. And I would say that it's a great game to get into if you want to pay the fee, if you don't mind paying the subscription, and it's fun for it's good for all sorts of stuff. Like there's something for pretty much everybody. If you're like a compulsive collector of achievements and things like that, it's got stuff for you. If you like competitive stuff, there's stuff for you. If you like group stuff, there's stuff for you. It's got a lot. And so just find the things that you like and do them. So yeah, I would say yes. Why doesn't Christy Winters support candidates who want to fight climate change? I've heard her basically concede incrementalism won't deal with an issue in time, but not change views. Well, 255. I can't answer that question because my name is not Christy Winters. I have wasted more thoughts than I should have trying to figure out why Christy Winters thinks about things the way she does, and I've always come up short. I don't know why she is like in a country that has universal health care but won't support universal health care in her country of her origin. The closest thing I can think of is that because she's a political scientist, she's kind of gotten so wrapped up in the idea that anybody to the right of the, or anybody to the left of the far, far right can't win. So while her sympathies might be with more left-wing candidates, she doesn't think that they'll win and that'll lose elections, which I don't think is true with my understanding of American culture and American history. But that could be an answer, but honestly, you'd have to ask her. But yeah, Norman Yeatus, I understand. Like, looking for a game where, like, you can play after work and you can, like, you know, just put in, like, 20 minutes and still be able to do something. It's so hard to find that, and this is one of the games that can. And I honestly think that Blizzard Entertainment in general, with the games that they've been making lately, they have a nice way of making games that allow you to be super duper hardcore if you want to, but if you don't want to, gives you a lot of opportunity to be like, to do something, log on, do something in like 10 minutes or 15 minutes and do it. Do you have Minecraft on the PC? I think I do. I know I have Minecraft. I bought it back in like 2011, but I don't know if I have it installed, but I definitely have it. I haven't played it in like, God, I probably played it. I haven't played it seriously since like 2012, or maybe even earlier, maybe sometime during 2011. I feel like I stopped playing it before the official, like before officially 1.0 released. Like there was a period where it was on a certain patch, and that patch was one of the longest beta patches, and I think that was the one where I played it the longest. Maybe I should play Minecraft sometime. I imagine that'll be fun. Maybe I can do that next week. Those relaxing ocean sounds as my elf sits on her elf dock, waiting for an elf boat to take her to another elf town so she can catch another boat to go to a dwarf town. Or a human town? Can't remember if Menethil Harbor is human or dwarf. Is there Comrade Jeb, is there a step back server that we can make? Or is that a thing that costs money? It used to cost money, but... Do you watch Bo of the Fifth Column? On a scale of awesome to super awesome, how awesome is he? I've never heard of Bo of the Fifth Column. I'm sorry. Pokemon Go itched that MMO scratch, to be honest. Yeah, it was fun for a bit. I can't remember why, but I remember, like, I liked, like, in the summer of 2016, I got super, super, super into Pokemon Go, and then it just kind of faded away. Alright, here's our boat. That's a human boat. I guess we're just chartering human boats now to somehow sail. I love this. This is a thing that I think is funny about this game. That's like one of the small little weirdness. You notice there's something missing from this boat that takes us from one place to another, and that is there is literally zero crew. There's nobody on this boat. How is this boat running? How does it do? You could just put some random NPCs on this thing and I would feel a little bit more at ease, but no, it's like a ghost ship that like ferries you from this bridge to the other side of that body of water, and that's it. I get that position in normal times, but I don't see the practical difference between centrists and conservatives when either won't do anything about the cooking planet. I agree. I think that people who try to, people who are advocating for anything but like full socialism right now are not appreciating the gravity of the situation we are in regards to climate change. Now, there are some neoliberal people who believe in climate change and believe its seriousness, but are so inundated with the idea that markets are somehow a force that can actually help, that they will refuse to do what needs to be done because they have such a dogmatic belief in markets that will never, like, climate change is a problem caused by markets. It's not a problem caused by, like, markets are uniquely ill-suited for solving them. Also, you notice that this, like, rope bridge thing here isn't even, like, even with this thing? What is this ship? Blizzard, did you, like, put this ship together in, like, 20 minutes? I don't know. This ghost ship. It's still weird that it's a ghost ship. So what is Bo the Fifth Column all about? I do remember peak Pokemon Go because we were in a park. My friend and I were in a park, and we found this like Pokemon stop that was in the middle of the park, and there were like dozens of gamer bros all hanging out there. And this is spooky Elf Town. Spooky, spooky Elf Town. So we went there, and like there's this pack of people hanging around like basically nothing because the Pokestop wasn't like any sort of memorial or anything like that. It was just a spot in the woods, and people were just hanging out there. And then like somebody just yelled Charmander this way, and like a crowd, a flock of humans like just ran off to go catch the Charmander. I thought that was a really funny situation. Honestly, there was I would have kept playing Pokemon Go, but then they did an update where they changed Pokestops, and one of the things about Pokestops they changed resulted in them giving a lot less loot, and I ended up like running out of Pokeballs all the time and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, I guess like this is like some punitive measure to make people pay more real money into it. And I was like, fuck that. I don't want to do that anymore. All right. So now we're in the wetlands in Barradin Bay. So now we are in marshlands, and we're gonna go on a very, very long walk through the swamp, where we're probably gonna get eaten by crocodiles and swamp monsters, and I don't even remember what else there is on the path, but it's a really shitty path. This is always quite the marathon. Look, they're like dwarvy by here. Menethil Sentry, Menethil Sentry. I think Menethil, I don't know, it's a mixed thing, I think. Okay, I think is he like a guy, he's got like a real southern accent, and he's got like a big beard and stuff? Is that who this is? I think I've seen like pictures of him. I appreciate the idea of an underrated bread tube. An underrated bread tuber. As in my opinion, an underrated bread tuber myself, I can appeal to that. Oh, I'm gonna get eaten by dinosaurs. There's like these like plant monsters that look like Swamp Thing from DC Comics. And there's like crocodiles, but they have like 6 legs. This is a whole thing. Look at this. I even love that they're like doing the 2004 draw distance so that you can't even see all that far off in the wetlands. That looks so cool because it's like the swamp. Follow the road east to reach a tunnel. You will probably die a few times. Follow through the tunnels to reach Loch Modan. All right, so far so good. That's all right. But this is a cool like I like because 2004 graphics engines could not load these textures, so they just put like a fog here. But like for like the wetlands here, it gives it like a cool foggy look, which I think it's kind of like how Silent Hill used draw distance to make it more spooky. Okay, so here's my first opponent. Oh, nope, there it is. Eaten by a crocodile, first death. Ah. Crocodile got an elf meal. Luckily, elves have a racial power where when they die, they turn into a ghost that is faster than other people's ghosts. So I can fast run back to my devoured carcass where I am basically going through fantasy Florida and getting eaten by 6-legged crocodiles. Magic Girl anime character. Oh, F. Thank you. Are we gonna get an F for every time I die in the wetlands? Because that's gonna be a lot of Fs. All right, especially because like, look, there's like this crocodile here, so I'm gonna have to like. All right, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna have to like get right in range, and then run from the crocodile. All right, crocodile. Oh nope, crocodile saw me. Can I outrun crocodile? In the real world, the answer would be yes. In fantasy world, maybe not. Especially because I see another crocodile up ahead. Oh god. Oh god. Wait, sacrificial dwarf. Yes. Your death is not in vain. So there's some velociraptors. As you know, Florida, definitely a big place for velociraptor activity. Some gnolls, which are basically like hyena people. Oh, there's another crocodile. Outrun! Nope, nope, that one, no, jeez. Oh, jeez. No, crocolisk. Take off armor to avoid durability damage. Oh, that's a good call. I feel like that would be a tad inappropriate in this stream. But, does avoid durability damage, which is like, you know, would save me a few bits of money, in which there is not that much money, so I'll zoom out. Oh, man. The Wetlands Run. This is a classic. See, they designed it in a way because night elves are supposed to be kind of like isolated from the rest of the alliance, that like if you play a night elf or if you play a not night elf, you don't see each other. If you don't see each other for a while, you can you don't see each other until like you're in your like levels like 30s or so, and so it's supposed to make like it feel like a more interesting world and stuff like that. But then it just resulted in people making this run. Did you ever visit Drumheller or Alberta where all the dinos are? Yes, I have. When I was a witty bitty boy though, so I don't have very many memories of it. But yes, I have. If you need quick cash, you can dance on top of a mailbox. Oh my, now that's classic. Oh, nope. Yep, this is how it's gonna be. That's gonna how it be, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Never understood the appeal of classic. Well, like, the thing about classic is that, like, this kind of stuff, while it's annoying in the moment, there's a couple things you have to remember, is that there's a sort of attachment that people get when they go through something that is tough but meaningful. And with this game, a lot of this, like, stuff that is annoying and tedious, to people like me who played through it in the past, there's sort of like how, like I said, people who go through rough times will remember this fondly because they come out the other end and remember it all. But the other thing is that is Kelly going to make a mage? No. Kelly played this game once for 15 minutes, complained that you walk too much, and then never played it again. It's possible to make a Minecraft server for free, but I can't do it as it is confusing. Okay. But yeah, so like, because this was like the shit I did when I was a kid. But also like this kind of stuff taking a long time and being annoying and having dangerous stuff is sort of a way to make the world feel like it has size. Like, nothing makes a world feel bigger than having to walk through every goddamn inch of it being eaten by crocodiles. And besides, now this run is part of the epic story of Bernie Sandor, the elf maiden druid. I'm surprised I haven't gotten any nasty whispers for being named Bernie Sandor. You're guessing Kelly isn't a gamer girl TM. She is. She, what's it called? She plays a lot of Fallout 4 right now. She likes more, let's just put this over our elf for modesty purposes. She likes more open world, like story driven stuff. So like, she's much more into like, she loves the Bethesda games right now. I think that's her thing. But she also played a lot of Minecraft at one point, and Super Mario Odyssey, and what's it called? Zelda Breath of the Wild. She played a lot of that. So she plays a lot of video games. In my mind, the main thing that's keeping her from playing this game is the fact that she's got some visual impairments, and this game isn't super accessible for people who have trouble reading small text. So that is, I think, the big difference. Otherwise, I think that this game is, especially Classic, is simple enough and has like a big like Like, it's not a very twitchy game. It's not a very it's got a lot of story, it's got a lot of lore, it's got a lot of like fun, like it's got a lot of like depth and stuff like that I think she would enjoy it. She would get a kick out of playing it if she gave it a chance, but like I said, you just need to find a way to scale up the text in a way so that she could see it properly, and I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just got to get around to actually doing it.
It's not just the text. Everything's so small. Like the whole
You can, yeah, that's true. So everything's too small. What's up?
Just the last thing Comrade said.
Would neoliberals insist on finding a market solution to stopping Yellowstone from exploding, i.e. if we knew we're a few years in advance? They probably would, and it would be ridiculous. I mean, there's like, what's it called? There's like Democrats who are saying that Bernie Sanders, like they're saying, Bernie Sanders, how are you going to pay for your healthcare plan? Your healthcare plan is so expensive. How are you going to pay for it, Bernie Sanders? And then they're literally like, let's solve climate change by making, like, what was it, like submarines that will make new ice glaciers or something. It was like the dumbest thing ever. Yeah, there you go. My mom just suggested that Kelly play on a 52-inch TV.
Where are we gonna get a 52-inch TV?
Yeah, you want to provide the 52-inch TV? 2 minutes to respawn. WTF, I can understand why Kelly hates this. See? Zoomers don't understand the power of patience. Also, this is not exactly the way the game was intended to be played. To be fair, this is explicitly not following the rules for the sake of convenience. This is because the Night Elf starting zone kind of sucks for leveling up, and so it's better to just get through this bullshit and wait for and get to, I think it's going to take me probably to the Dwarven starting zone and do the rest of the quest from there. Because it'll be better overall. Maybe a ghost run to the graveyard. I don't know. Why did you leave Darnassus at such a low level? Because freaking Teldrassil is a shitty zone to level up in. It's always been like Teldrassil, like the zone where elves level up in this game, is so big and so all the quests are so spaced out, and it's just an awful place to level up. And so you go to like Dune Moreau, where the quests are a lot more together and they make more sense in a more logical fashion. So what was the ghost walk called again? The Walk of Shame. Yeah, basically. When is this going to end? I'm down to my last cider can. I have to drink a lot more. I have like 4 more of these things. So this is going to go until the time my stream usually ends, which is in about 40 minutes. So Shock Top, that's the real gamer fuel. What did you make? A rogue. This is a druid. This is just my streaming character, though. My main character is a remake of my rogue is a rogue, and it is my rogue from vanilla, so a gnome. I am playing a Night Elf Druid because the wonderful audience here did a straw poll and decided that this is what I was going to make. I can say we are getting close to the end of this demon zone. And I think we are past the... Whoops, sorry about that. I know that was probably loud. We're also past the part with a lot of crocodiles, which is nice. Listen to that. Listen to that soundscape. As a druid, I would use the druid teleported cheaply. Pretty sure I've drunk more than you. Yeah, well, I gotta talk. You're watching a show. I'm doing a show. So I can't... I'm doing a show and drinking at the same time. That is like peak multitasking right now. And I'm about to get killed by a spider. Right by the exit to the zone. Ah! So close. So close. Last one, I think. In the meantime, snap another one. But you know, this is classic WoW. Everything moves at a glacial pace. I can understand that, like, to anybody who didn't play World of Warcraft in vanilla would look at the experience of playing this game and being like, how is this fun? This looks tedious and time consuming. And the answer is, you don't understand. It's the, what's it called? The tedium is what gives it flavor, gives it life. They've updated this game. There's like, what, 8 expansions now? 7 expansions? And most of the tedium and time-consuming stuff has been removed. And you know what it's wound up with? It feels like it's all style and no substance. This is the fucking broccoli and Brussels sprouts of video games here. I do. I am a millennial, and millennials are old now. So take that. And you know what? This is also like, how is it now? The retail version of WoW is actually still pretty fun. It's just a completely different game. But also, this is also like nothing compared to like some of the MMOs that are popular in Korea. Can't believe I'm using my bag to just be like, I took off all my armor to save from what's it called, but I don't want you guys objectifying Bernie Sandor, so I'm like covering her up with the inventory. I think I'm safe to put on my gear though. But like, millennials are old now, and World of Warcraft was like a lot of time spent with a lot of millennials. And hey, look, a goat. And just like, it makes memories of like pre-recession teenager stuff, not a care in the world. Why did your mother reject you for being a communist? She didn't reject me. She's literally watching this stream right now. She threatened to reject me for being a communist, but then, what's it called? She, like all parents, gave a lot of idle threats. She thought that maybe it would scare me away from pursuing leftist politics, but it didn't. What server are you on? Old Blanchy. All right. Bernie Sandor has escaped the wetlands. the chances of me being eaten by a random crocodile, as far as I can recall, are very low now. Oh, but now I'm going to get killed by an orc. No! Bad orc. No, bad orc. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Get back in the mountain. Safety. Safety of the mountain. Wait, Tristan's mom plays WoW? Tristan's mom has been playing World of Warcraft since, like, 2007 and has probably logged in, like, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times the hours I have over the years. This is not just, like, her hobby. It is her life. I'll try to make a Minecraft server by Monday. That's awesome. Is your mother online? Mine has no idea what any of these games are. Well, when there was a time in like 2007 where like me and everybody that I knew was playing World of Warcraft, and I decided to introduce my mom to it, and she got really into it, and then she got my dad into it, and it became like a whole thing. It was like a big family activity for a while. And then all of the kids stopped playing it, and then it was just the two of them for the longest time. Follow the road south, then take the tunnel on your right to reach Dune Moreau. Okay. Look, we are in Dune Moreau. This is like a nice dwarven foresty place. Look, dwarf building. Lovely. She's retired, I'm guessing. Not quite, no. Still like a couple years away from that. My family is super into Settlers of Catan. That is a fun board game. I should, what's it called? My in-laws play board games on Christmas. I should bring my Settlers of Catan because I think they would enjoy that one.
That might be a bit much for them.
You didn't feel awkward playing video games with your parents? No, I did not. I mean, they all had like in this game, they had their own social groups. Like when I was playing this game, I was a hardcore raider and they were in a more casual guild with a group of their own friends. We would help each other out on some things, but for the most part we like still did our own thing. Oh, God. Comrade Jeb. You just, like, hurt my brain. No, spider. Bad spider. Go away, spider. Bad spider, no donut. ASAB. ASAB. But saying that you played the PS1 before you were born, oh my god. I had a PS1. PS1 was my first video game system, or first console I ever got. It was a reward for me getting my yellow belt in karate. Did you convince your mom of anything when it comes to politics? You have to ask her of that. I don't think so. I think she's definitely become a lot more left-wing as I've gotten older, but that might just be because the further we get away from the 80s, which apparently made everybody dumb, the better everybody's politics got. I don't know. I'm almost as old as Russian Federation, somebody said. Well, I can still say firmly that I am let's see. When I was born, Ronald Reagan was president, and the Soviet Union still existed, and there were still two Germanys. You remember the Super NES? Yes. Well, 255, I didn't have a normal upbringing when it came to consoles. My dad had a reasonable PC earlier on, so my dad was always just like, you don't need a Nintendo. We're not going to get you one of those. That's a waste of money, waste of time. So, like, unlike a lot of my friends, I don't have any, like, memories of playing Mario. I have no memories of playing Sonic. I have no memories of any of those things, 'cause I didn't get a console until the PlayStation, so, not like I blame anybody for that. It's just, like, just part of my life. Congrats on the yellow belt. Not even a Game Boy. Oh no, I did have a Game Boy. I had a Game Boy explicitly because if I didn't, I would be the only person within like a 6-mile radius who was of my generation and wasn't playing Pokemon. So I definitely had a Game Boy and got in on the Pokemon craze. So here we are. This is dwarf land. It's cold and mountainy. And now, I think if I remember correctly, we get to do the quest where we like collect boar asses. Oh no. F. Forgot that druids kind of suck. Okay. Druids in vanilla were bad. I forgot to mention that. In this game, they decided it was not until like Burning Crusade that they decided to make every class not suck. So here we are. Another ghost party. So I can't fight things that are higher level than me, is what I'm learning. I remember Y2K. I remember thinking the world was going to end because we didn't know how to do the thing. Druids and Paladins. Oh yeah, Paladins were real bad too. And even then, like, Paladins had to heal and Druids had to heal, so like tank Druids were bad, tank Paladins were bad, damage Paladins were bad. Like, every class that could heal had to be a healer because that was the only viable spec. The only tanks in a raid or in a dungeon had to be warriors. Like, this was a lot more... People were a lot more specialized back then. Remember the Machinima World of Roguecraft? Yes, Isaiah Summons, I do remember that because I was a rogue PvP player and I thought those videos were awesome because you learned a lot about how to play rogue in that one. So yes, I have very intimate memories of the World of Roguecraft videos. Which, by the way, so this game came out before YouTube did. And so before YouTube, on like Google Video and random things like that, World of Warcraft players made these videos and they were just PvP videos. Like, this was like early enough in the internet that this was a thing, where like people would just make videos of them like participating in PvP fights, like fighting monsters in PvP, to like very copyrighted music, and just showing how awesome and badass they were. Like, this was definitely a funny situation that everybody was in back then. So yeah, that was like life back in like original World of Warcraft. And think about like, because World of Warcraft's a game that's very heavily about like fighting bosses that have like coordinated strategies behind them, and like finding videos of those strategies were terrible. There were never like now like every like World of Warcraft YouTuber's got like, hey, this is like my guide to every single boss in the game. And it comes out like the day after a new dungeon comes out. So like, everything that's going to happen the second it comes out. In Classic, it was not like that at all. In Classic, you had to like read, like you had to learn how to do it. And sometimes like the top guilds, they'd write like guides, or like sometimes the top guilds would have like forums where they were talking about strategy on their own. And you had to like really like get into it. Why did you flirt with social democracy in 2011? Yeah, it was mostly because of Jack Layton in the 2011 election. And I thought that... And the NDP looked like they were actually going to form government, and so I got a little excited about that. But alas, it was not meant to be. And I quickly became a radical again as soon as hope faded. Oh, yeah. That was a close one. But that was it. Also, like, 2011, I was still, like... God, like 23, 22. So I didn't know anything about anything when I was 22. Everyone goes to the SOCDEM phase. It's okay. Well, Norman, what happened is that like I went from like social democrat to democratic socialist to leftist anarchist, back to social democrat, and then back to anarchist. Like, I became an anarchist in 2009. So honestly, it came from the fact that like there's many reasons why I might have done that, and one of the reasons is that when I went to university, I got into studying, and I got into like when I was studying at university, I didn't have a whole lot of interest in politics. Like, I didn't follow it all that closely. So like when I was a student there, I had enough going on in my life that I didn't obsess over the news or anything like that. And so I never got in. If you have to buy skills from the skill training, you have to go all the way back to Stormwind's Park District. I know. Luckily, this is just for like what's it called? Just for the stream right now, so I can deal with that off camera. The character I'm playing in my main time, my off time, is a rogue, and so it's easy. I did forget that you have to like that like a druid trainers are hard to come by around here, which is so weird. Because now World of Warcraft is so focused on convenience that like this stuff is all made super, super easy on you. And that was not the way it always was. They were dedicated to, in some ways, they were dedicated to realism more than they were dedicated to convenience. And that's sort of the simulationist aspect and the stuff that made it feel like a real world is the stuff that they hacked away at to make a better game, which, like, I guess was a smart decision in their mind, which was a smart decision, but it does mean that when you look at, like, the game as it is in this version here, you're like, oh, I mean, for the fact that it's like a better game, something was lost. And that's not even the worst. This is like this is a representation of version 1.12, which was the last version before Burning Crusade came out. And I remembered that early on in this game, they didn't even have druid trainers in Stormwind. And so like a druid would have to go back to Teldrassil to level up their skills. And like that was annoying. Obviously, that's not the case anymore, but... So it says to grind boars until you get 85% through level 6. Which, that's what's called 3 blobs, 3 bubbles away. Is this actual snow or frosting? It's snow. This is like a snowy place. This is Dune Moreau, the homeland of the dwarves and the gnomes. And they live in a snowy mountain land. Which is somehow connected to a very nice looking wood, like less than a kilometer away, but we don't talk about that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry about the logistics of that one. The soundtrack of this game is really good. And there's the capital Iron Lag. Yeah, it's up there. See, I'm not alone. People remember this. Probably would have played on my old Rogue, too, except for the fact that my server, the server that I'm playing on, is got like a queue of like 7,000 to log in right now, and it's like, oh, Jesus, okay. Guess I'm not doing that one. We'll see how it is at like 10 o'clock when I'm done with this. Is anyone got any? We got a little less than 15 minutes left. Does anyone have any more questions you want me to field before we go? Keep drinking my shock top. Take that, wolf. Maybe I'll walk to town and then we'll call it an evening. Which if I recall is like over here. So this is Karanos, I think it's called. Yeah. And this is a dwarven town. Well, shit. If I'm just gonna like, I might as well show you the big one. If we're gonna finish this with a bang and show you the big city. Do Elf keep walking. Doing elf stuff. Is it possible to divorce masculine identity from sexual conquest? I think so. I don't know for sure, but I imagine that if you interrogated that idea, that male identity or male identity is like definitely like its link with sexual conquest is probably a lot younger than you'd think. The WoW soundtrack seems like a good listen whilst high. Yes, it is. Take the tram to Stormwind. It was always fun. It's true. You might run into some interesting role players in there too. So here we are. Big dwarf town. Aw, big door. Big statue. Big music change. So this is the dwarven capital of Ironforge. So this, in the vanilla version of the game, was the economic capital of the Alliance. Because this is the auction house right here. And this is the only auction house, so you could, like, so everyone came here. This is the dwarven, this is where everyone would hang out. And I'll show you their crafting area is like a big lava pit. If Kelly's listening, Arton would love it. Why does everyone seem to play Alliance races only? I don't know. I'm just playing Alliance because I played Alliance back in vanilla. I'm playing Alliance right now because you guys voted for it. So yeah, look at this. Big things of lava pouring down. Big anvil. It's a cool place. And we can go see the king. Magni Bronzebeard or whatever. Hello, Magni Bronzebeard, the Lord of Ironforge. Sup, brah? Just hanging out in your throne room that has lava in it, holding 2 hammers. It's pretty dwarf. It's a pretty dwarven thing to do. How bad is the inflation in Azeroth? Right now, it's not. Right now, it's severely deflated because the classic version of the game came out yesterday, and so nobody has money. There's no fucking money. And so, like, the auction house has nothing on it, and everybody's broke. So, right now, it's just nothing. It's a very deflated economy. I'm sure it'll be crazy by the end of the expand, by, like, you know, a few weeks from now. And definitely once I get my engine up and running for selling massive amounts of shit on the auction house, it'll be a thing, but you can make good money selling stat potions on the auction house. That is true, but also there's like nobody over level 40 right now because this game came out yesterday. And people don't end up usually buying that shit until you get to like Endgame. Avengers Endgame. Alright. think we're going to call it a night, though. Thank you for joining me in this insane nostalgia trip that is my teenage life. I hope you enjoyed the adventures of Bernie Sandor, the Night Elf Druid. Maybe we'll come back to her someday. Maybe we won't. Not many people watch the stream, so probably not. But I thought it was a fun thing to do, so thank you for indulging me. And I hope that maybe it sounds like maybe we're gonna make a Minecraft server and play Minecraft on Monday or next Tuesday, which could be a lot more fun, I think, for you guys. So until then, have a great evening. Love each other. Be friends. And all that.